Hey everybody, welcome to my workshop here at Miller's Farm Shop. We're talking big today, really. We're going to do some big turning. So we're going to make one other of these. So I made this one this morning. These are toppers, so finials for the post out the front. Tom's going to show us a picture in a minute when he's ready. Farmer Tom's here for questions. Don't forget, if you have any questions, just use the chat function, pass them over to Tom, and Tom's then going to relay them to me. So there we are. There's the entranceway to Miller's Farm Shop. So there is a little bit on there that says wood turning shop somewhere. I can't see it for the minute, but that gives you an idea what we've got here. Yeah, woodcraft shop. I just hit. So it needs a couple of toppers, a couple of finials. So we've got some nice big green oak. It's around about 8 inches wide. This green oak. So I say green. It wasn't as green as I was expecting, to be honest. It's quite dry inside, but another one of those. So we got a bit of copy turning going on. So hello everybody. I'm going to calm down. We've got quite a lot to go over. We've got pretty much a full schedule now for the next few months. So we're going to look to what we're going to do in the next live, which will be in a fortnight's time, and then we're going to start thinking about how we publish. What we're going to be doing then over the next few sessions as well. There's a few things just springing to mind. So next week there's a bowl. We're going to get you involved in the choice of that one in a second. Then I want to do a few things that obviously I enjoy doing, things that I need here for the shop, few questions that you've had. So one of the lives is going to be a sharpening Q&A. So start thinking about questions. That's going to be in around about 4 weeks time. I want to do some wooden fruit. We're going to be looking at chucks and jaws and centers and maybe doing some questions around those sorts of things. Long hole borings for lamps. We keep getting questions about long hole boring. How do I get decent length of drilling on the lathe? Just a few things like that. So keep your suggestions coming in. We do listen to them, and it's great for us because it gives us another thing to sort of talk about and to show potentially. So we're going to talk more about what we're doing here in a second. I'm just going to grab a piece of timber. This is for the next live, which don't forget will be in 2 weeks' time on that Thursday. So this is a lovely bit of burr. It was dropped off to the workshop here. Sorry for going off camera. It was dropped off to the workshop here. So it's a sizable chunk, this one. And this one, I'll tell you what the timber is in a minute. It's a beautiful burr actually, but there we've got a lovely knobbly outside there. It's wet, soaking wet, so it's going to be a rough turn piece to start with, and then we've got the flat section there. But you're not going to see this really from the camera that we've got. But the burr is quite an attractive one, and it's fairly local to us, and it's just dropped off, kept outside so it doesn't split too much. But the pole that Tom's going to work, this is the first time we've done this, so we're playing with the technology again here. The pole that he's going to put up is, do we want to have flat top or do we want to flip? So basically, flat top will be a regular bowl, and we'll create the back of the bowl from here, do what nature done for us. It's already started shaping it for us, really, have the flat rim of the bowl there. Or do we flip and have a live edge? So have this as the top of the bowl and that being the underside. So that's your choice, really. Tom's going to set the pole running in a minute when he works it out. You've done it. Fantastic. So there's something for you guys to be thinking about, and it is entirely up to you. It's your choice as to what we do. So, yeah, fingers crossed. So let's go back to this one. Before we do, any questions, Tom?
Yeah, just a quick one, mate. Paul's asked, Colwin, are you using the AP406 lathe for these large finials?
Yeah, I'm sort of pushing the 406 to its limits, really. Well, I say I'm pushing it to its limits. I've still got another couple of inches there. The things you think about when you're getting the bigger pieces like this, obviously the banjo down there that you can't see. The banjo, it's not only the distance from the center height to the bed, you got to think where the banjo is as well, because there's another probably 2 inches there, 50 mil of thickness of the banjo. So you might have to skirt that to one side if you're going bigger than this sort of thing, really. In terms of centrifugal force, it's not too much of a problem. That's more when we're doing bowls, bigger bowls, that sort of thing. This sort of thing's fine. However, there's another thing that's creeping in now, and we've got bearings. And even though 406 has big bearings, it's not as big as something like the 35s, the next size up, some of your bigger lathes. So what I've done here, I've got the support of the tailstock. So I've got a faceplate on this end as my drive, not a prong drive. This is really heavy, this oak, and I don't want it coming off for obviously for safety reasons, but it'll make a mess of the lathe, tool rest potentially, TV cameras, all these sorts of things. So I'm making sure that we're ultra safe. Faceplate with 6 screws in it, big thick gauge screws, which will take off at the end. And just to note there, I put these faceplates on this morning, turned this on this morning, and so the faceplate had been on there around about an hour and a half, but I don't know whether you can see that the oxidization, the tannic acid within the oak, really affecting the faceplate and creating that mark. Now, this doesn't matter on this piece because it's going to be put on top of a square post. But just to make you aware, if I'd left that faceplate on there maybe overnight, probably would have pitted the faceplate and made it really quite rusted. So let's just pop that one out of the way. I'm going to keep referring to that one in a minute. There we are, back in the room. I'll keep referring to that one, so I'll keep bringing it up in a minute every now and again, just to make sure my sizes are right. Yes, Tom.
A couple of questions, mate. Editor 2000, he was here this week. He said, are today's shavings mixed with yesterday? He said it felt a bit bad to help you tidy up.
I know. I shouldn't say this in front of everybody, but I tend to, at the end of the courses, I know he's going to take a lot of flack. I'm going to take a lot of flack for this. At the end of the courses, I tend to tidy up myself and just say bye-bye to all the students and not have them tidy up. There's a couple of reasons for that. And lots of places where I've been and taught, the students tidy up afterwards. And it's a good routine to get into. For me, that bit of tidying up at the end of the day, usually on the second day, because it's a rush tidy up on the first. But the second day, it's a little bit of that mindfulness, that sort of wind down time before I drive home sort of thing. And I quite enjoy it. I say that, I can only say that because Vicky's not here. My wife's not here. She does a lot of the tidying up, I must admit. But it's just that little bit of stress relief at the end of the course. Not that the courses are stressy in any way. But yeah. So no, don't worry, Ed. Don't worry, not at all. We didn't make much mess anyway. Tom.
And Edward wants to know, hi Colin, on the sharpening video, will you be covering the Sorby Pro Edge or the Axminster equivalent?
Do you know? No, I won't be. And there's a couple of reasons that I don't own them for a start. Personally, I don't like sharpening on a linear type. Now, I know that would probably be unpopular with lots of people because the Pro Edge and the Ultimate Edge have been are very well loved. I'm always, for me, and we're going to look at all of them. I've got some wheels and carbon aluminium oxide. We're looking at CBN and we're looking at Tormek and we're looking at the jigs behind that, and we can throw in a little bit of hand sharpening as well. Saying all of that, the jig-based system with the Sorby and the Pro Edge are very, very similar to the Tormek jig as well. So we can take bits from that and put straight into your Pro Edge. Yes.
And Callum wants to know, hi Callum, will you be giving the Finials a coat of linseed oil before putting outside?
So, I probably won't, Callum. I probably won't bother. I mean, the post outside is large, and the tannins within the oil here will preserve it for as long as that post is up. This is probably a good, I would have said 15 years of solid oak here. It's going to last, probably outlast the length of time of those posts out there. So no, I won't worry about any oil on this at all. It's got its own protection. All good to go. There's a lot of work in this. I was tempted when I was doing the first one earlier this morning. I was tempted just to saw the corners and then take it to the bounce on a 45 just to take some of that away before you got here. But I thought, no, I'll do everything. It's best to see it from start to finish. Then all the problems that I encounter, you'll see. The first one is I did true the ends up on the bandsaw, or I thought I trued the ends up on the bandsaw. It's pretty straight. But as you know, once we're dealing with this sort of length, the slightest bit of off here is going to throw us off here. and it is off a little bit. I'm not overly worried. This is going up about 20 foot in the air, and so if I've got a flat on one side, that's fine. That's fine. It's not going to matter at all, really. If it was, a high-end piece of furniture indoors, nice and close, then that'd be a different story altogether. But there, let's have a look. I'm going to put this on for obvious reasons. We're talking with a much bigger bit of timber, even though I've made sure that I'm as safe as I physically can be. So faceplate and all that sort of thing. Excuse me, I've got mic issues at the moment, which we'll sort. So I do apologize if there's any issues with the mic, any Dalek noises and things like that, but just for protection. If there's anything really bad, Tom, just let me know. Yeah, anything drastic going wrong. So first thing I need to do, lathe speed to 0. You hear me say this often, lathe speed to 0, turn the lathe on. Let me get that right. Lathe speed to 0, turn the lathe on. It's even more important when you're doing big pieces like this. You don't want any surprises at all. It doesn't matter if you've already done one. If the speed on that one was a certain speed, it may not be the same for this one. They're all different. So lathe speed to 0, turn the lathe on. I've already checked to make sure I've got nothing touching the tool rest. You see me doing that all of the time. And I think what I'll do, Tom, I'll just keep going until I'll get about 5 minutes of roughing out done. Then I'll start and we'll do some answers. One thing on here, I've already scribed what is going to be the pummel line. So how far I need to go before I hit that square section, or what the square section I want to keep. I've just put a little pummel line here with a pen. So there's my do not pass line. I'll be able to see that as soon as that starts running. And if I didn't, I'll just keep stopping and checking. So my first job, take some of these corners off. Don't go too crazy with your speed initially. There we are. I have tried my best to even up this lathe, but with the best will in the world, you got a big lump like this flying around on what is a relatively small lathe for that piece of timber. It's going to bounce a little bit. I am only at 267 revs there. And check your tool rest. Make sure you're not gonna come loose the minute you start. And what I mean by that is make sure there's good abrasion. So on the actual post of the tool rest itself, a little bit of a scuffing up with some abrasive. The same on the end of the locking handle, just so that stays in one place. So really, your first few touches are going to be troublesome ones. You're not in a solid piece of timber. You've got corners coming off. We need to leave a pummel. But to start with, we just want to do the worst. We'll get rid of the worst. And I tend to go with a bowl gouge. This is a 1/2 inch bowl gouge over a roughing gouge. I think a roughing gouge would just be a little bit too aggressive. It's a really hard bit of timber. And this would be like any large bowl, any uneven piece. We're going to start off quite slowly. And then as soon as you start getting things even, you can quite rapidly take away timber. But at this stage, you just need to be fairly cautious. Get rid of those corners without splitting them away too much. Already we're making fair progress here. We'll stop the lathe in a minute just to show you what we've got. So this first pass will be the worst pass, purely because of those corners. Right, I'm just going to come back to this side, take a little bit more away from here. Starting to get there. I'm starting to ache. Right, we'll have a little stop there. We'll do some questions, and I want to talk about the tailstock, what we've got going on at the tailstock as well. Because on the tailstock, we've got as much pressure going on here as the rest of the piece. So the trouble with that would be is it would throw the center out fairly quickly. So I'm using a Pro Drive Live, so 21 mil with all those little teeth in it. So it's really going to help us out. There we go. We see how uneven we are, but we got a lot to take off of this yet, so we should be fine. Tom, any questions?
Yeah. Paul wants to know how often will you have to sharpen the gauge, the gouge tray?
The gouge, yeah, fair amount. On the last one, I sharpened it twice. I've got a couple of gouges sharpened here, ready to go, so I don't have to do it too much now. But yeah, a couple of times. It really depends on the timber and what we've got in there. This is, like I say, it's not as wet as I thought it was going to be, so it's quite abrasive, quite aggressive. All right.
Yeah, and Edward wants to know, you did not turn a spigot on the finial. How will you attach it?
So this has got a square top, so it's literally square on square. It'll probably be screwed on, so there's no finesse to this one at all. This is a big piece of timber. We're not going to worry about a tenon and a mortise. It'll be just glued and screwed.
And Edward 2000 wants to know, what is the drive center you're using?
The drive center, well, we're not. We're using a faceplate. So it's a little tiny 3-inch faceplate with 6 quite heavy gauge screws in it, just to give us extra bit of security. But yeah, you can see it's got a bit of drying on it. I don't know, Tom, whether could you just do the overhead a second? You can see here that we got splitting going on. There's a big knot there. There's splits all up that side. You know, this has been stored outside. It's started to dry quite well. So it's there's definitely a bit of drying done. See if I can grab an extra 50 or 100 revs. There we are, extra 50 revs. 100 revs. That'll speed things up. That's much quicker. Probably now we'll get down to our pummel. just show you where we are at the moment. So we're just creeping back just to get close to that pummel. We've got about an inch, about 25 mil there. You just see that pummel line at the moment. So that's where I'm aiming for. There we are. Let's stop and check. See how close we are. Another 12 mil, half inch more, a little bit less than that. Stop again. Let's have a check. Ooh, close now. Another cut. That, I think, will be there. And we can refine this in a minute. Once I've got a little bit more of this away, we're going to come back and we've got a little cove to do here and everything. So that's our thickness. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to take a measurement with some large calipers of the overall diameter of the top of that acorn. So I got an idea of how much I can remove. Yeah, we got a good half inch to come off yet. A bit more away. So if I go down to about half an inch, so 12 mil. Just checking the tailstock. There we are. Good. Okay. I'll stop for 5 just to take some questions, Tom, and to explain where we're going to go next.
Oh yeah, Callum wants to know what shape are you doing the second finial? Maybe you could go for a Calcutta Cup trophy style one.
Calcutta Cup. Hey, well, not to disappoint you this weekend, Callum, but I'm sure we'll be taking that one home. If anybody that doesn't follow rugby, Calcutta Cup is a game of rugby played between England and Scotland. It's been played this weekend, and Callum has suggested that he might be a little bit biased towards Scotland.
I think they've won enough recently, to be fair.
Exactly.
And Pascal wants to know, do you do any maintenance on the headstock of your spindle or bearings? Your 406 seems to spin by hand very freely, but his 406, which is only a year old, only spins freely about 2 or 3 revs by hand.
Ooh, that's an unusual one. Now, if you're talking memory, then that's a different thing. So if you say you do that and it wants to run on a little bit, that very often is memory in the belt. And you'll get that more on a new lathe than you will on an older one, because there's a lot of memory in the belt, you know, and especially when you leave it a lathe overnight or even for a week or even longer, you think about the belt being tensioned. As soon as it starts running, you've got the two ends that are in tension. So there's that. But if you can't move your headstock spindle by hand more than a couple of turns, then there's a problem there. And that would be a bearing problem, I would have thought, to be fair. This machine's still all right. One of the windows okay. I've got one over to the far side over there. That needs bearing changes. Bearings and belts are wearing parts. So belts very rarely go on one of these machines, but bearings you'll change depending on its workload. That machine over there is now around about 12 years old. And it's been abused quite badly by me by doing things like this, or things like any big hollow forms on a small machine. You got more wet wear on the bearing, sort of thing. So yeah, eventually they will need to be changed. Whether you're able to do that yourself, you've got a set of pullers to pull the bearings off, or whether you take it for a service, it depends on what you have experience in. But no, they will need to change every now and again. But 1 year is not enough for a bearing change, to be honest with you. I would probably send a video of what you're talking about into Axminster to see what they say. They might have a suggestion for you. And keep talking to me as well. We've got still a little bit more there to come off. Yeah, because that's not enough. You shouldn't be struggling at this stage. All right, Tom, for a minute. There. A little bit more off. I think I can probably gain a little bit more. There we are, another 100 revs. So now we're up to 500 revs. There we are. I'm going to start removing a little bit more waste now, so I know I can dome the top of this one over. So if I take that edge away, there we are. I'll stop the lathe. We're going to move down to this end. Again, we can take quite a lot of material away from down here. So we're about the right diameter, but I will just double check that with the calipers once more. Yep, so we're just over. Just sticking a little bit there, but that's fine. So now we'll start shaping. I'm just resting the one that we've got on the floor on its side so I can see the shape that's in front of me. Got a good idea where we're going. You can remove a lot more waste now. So you got a big hollow here. Okay, let's do some adjustments. So first of all, I have a little fillet, a tenon here that I've got to cut in. So I'm just going to measure the diameter of that off of camera, so I don't have to lift that finial up too many times. Tom, you got any questions whilst I'm doing this?
Yep. Editor 2000 wants to know how much of an issue is bevel bounce on a piece of timber this large. He said he's done some turning of smaller sizes, smaller than this before, and had to adjust accordingly.
Yeah, bevel bounce can be an issue because of the speed, really here. And I don't think it's so much bevel bounce. It's just the this soft side grain and the end grain just bullying you around a little bit. Yeah, I don't find it affects too much. Maybe the different orientation bowl blank maybe would cause a few more issues, but on this sort of piece, it's not too much of a problem though. Speed up if within safety, as long as it's safe to speed up a little bit. I lucked out here. This was perfect. This is the right diameter. So it's the next diameter. Now we're going to go down with another fillet. And I need that set of calipers. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's adjust the tool rest within the diameter that we're working away from that corner. I got a little bit of hand sanding to do afterwards on the pummel, but that's fine. Just keep checking. Never turn the lathe on without checking that nothing's going to touch the tool rest. I'm just eyeballing what I've got to do next. Right, I'm just going to check that with my calipers. A little bit more. Right, whilst we've got those diameters in, I'm just going to clean up a little bit, get all the definition back in. And I'm doing that just with a small spindle. There we are. I'm just going to check, once we've got the lathe off, just check that diameter. That's fine. So my next job, let's just get this one up. Oh, there. So we can give you an idea where we are. So we're just working on the two pummels. On two pummels and then the two fillets. It's looking good. And needs to come up with a little bit more. Yeah, and we got a fillet, the other fillet's right up here. So I can come around a lot further. We'll measure that one again as well. I need a table beside me, Tom. How's the pole going? What are we looking at the moment?
Currently on 68% for flipping it.
For flipping it, natural edge. I thought there might be, to be fair.
And Ronnie just said, hi, Colwin and Tom. He's got his bags packed, sitting by the door, and he'll be there on Sunday.
Excellent. Excellent. You're going to embrace the good old English weather when you come over, Ronnie. So, doing the little cove. That fillet just need to come down a little bit more. Right, stop. I'm going to check that that fillet just to see if it's nearly there. Quite a long way out yet. So another sizable chunk taken off.
Ward is asked, your overhead camera seems to show your lathe as blue, but front on it's grey. And yeah, it's not your eyes, Ward. It is it's the quality of the overhead camera.
Cheap camera, Ward, up there. Good quality one to my right. Good quality one in front.
And the overhead one is the one we use most frequently.
It is, yeah. That's why we invested in the security camera as well up there, which is, it seems to be, so that one there, that one seems to be quite a good one as well. Still looks a little blue, but yeah. One day we'll invest in proper cameras. Definitely grey lathes, Ward. There we are. That should do that. I'm happy with the fillet size as well now. Happy with the width, so we can start measuring really. So if I clean up this finish, because we're at the right diameter, so I'm happy. There we are. I'm just going to put a pencil guide in there. So let's get our first one up. Stop there. I need to come up a little bit further. That's fine. So just a rough. Oh God, it's heavy. Trouble is, the next one, Tom, is equally as heavy. The burr bowl. When it comes to doing the burr bowl in a fortnight's time, I'm not quite decided yet whether we're going to have it running over the bed of the lathe, or whether we're going to go over mid-air, whether we're going to try the other side. It really depends on how it cuts. If I can't get it under 16 inches, then it'll have to be over mid-air. Just cutting the line in first for the cap of our acorn. Round over. Then it's just a very slight curve. I think now we're putting some cleaning cuts in. Let's go to my sharp gouge. Right, that one on its side. Okay, same up here. I'm just going to clean that surface off. It's a little bit ragged. So just a skim. Because we're at diameter, so I don't want to go too far. Bring the cap over. Little skew cut. Just to clean everything away, and then we can shape. Good. Okay. Last little bit. We're going to round over the top.
Cool.
See what I mean about this little flat area? It's not really a concern because it's almost gone now anyway. Yes.
What speed were you running at just then? Pascal just wants to know.
That speed, remember we went up slowly, Pascal. We went from 260, I think, and I've eventually got up to 550. Okay, but we've done it in stages rather than trying to get that straight away. Otherwise, the machine would be bouncing all over the place.
Was that the M42 gouge you were using prior
So,
to that?
yeah, M42. The reason, so I've got two here. So we've got that Henry Taylor one. I got M42. There is a real difference for me. I found that, especially, and we'll talk about this when we do the sharpening as well. My M42 gouge will last a huge amount longer the sharper you get it. So if we start looking at carborundum wheels or aluminum oxide wheels, you can go straight off, and turn with that. That's fine. If you go CBN, it's even it'll be even sharper. So under a microscope, the ragged edge of your cutting edge will be much smoother compared to that of a carborundum or aluminum oxide. If you go to Tormek, it'll be even smoother again. So there's no peaks and troughs to break away when you're turning. So it just generally lasts a bit longer. It's still so good on the M42. But Henry Taylor one, this is a regular high-speed steel. Nothing, no cryo, no heat treatment apart from the high-speed steel bit. Yes.
And JPM wants to know, will you fill the cracks of the wood with filler and paint these? Or
No. This is staying. So this is on a large, what do you call it? Signpost. No, it's very much going to be left natural. No cracks are going to be filled. The oak is just like, if you see a green oak structure, they move and contort with the weather. The issue is, if we start filling cracks and we start painting, you'll be going back to that and painting it every third year. The cracks will start to open up again. This is going to weather and go silver and be part of the same color that the rest of the sign is going to go. Nearly there. One, let's try and get a nice cut going down through. I don't think I can get any more speed out of that, but if I could, I would. No, we're at 660, and that's about it. That's because of the size of my lathe. If I had a lathe that weighed another few hundred kilos, we could go a bit quicker. There we are. I think that's acorn-like, isn't it, Tom? Yeah. Right, so let's just take off that last little bit of waste. Got the big one back. We go back to that little spindle. There we are. I think that is going to be it. Let me just get the other one up and just compare the two. Ouch. Just compare the two. In fact, I could probably take a little bit more off of here. Lose a little bit of that top section. Yes, Tom.
Callum just wants to know, the large size burr you're going to do, is it better to rough out straight away rather than just air dry whole because of its nature?
Yeah, rough it out. That's the plan. So it won't be a finished bowl next week, Callum. I'm going to rough it out. And then later on in the year, it's going to be another live. We'll finish it. That will probably take in the region of 6 months. So Christmas time, or just before, we'll return that. There we go. That's better. Right, let's just cut that one off. Did I see a blemish? No, we're not too bad. I'm going to leave that bit there. That's fine. I'm sorry, I'm talking to myself. Let's cut off the waste. Before you do anything with that now, give it a good prod around. Make sure you're nice and stable. It's a long way. That poor lathe, you know, this is a long way. There's quite a lot of bounce and flip on it. So I'm just going to turn the lathe speed down, and I'm going to use the spindle gouge right on its side. So I give the lathe a bit of a break. This is a small 3/8 spindle, so it's only a small tool anyway. But I just want to tidy up that last little bit. There we go. That can go back. And there's not really much sanding to do. This is wet timber. But what I will do is a token gesture. So I've got some 80 grit here, and this is going to be like a D-nib really. So a little bit of hand sanding first, as in just that. You can see that it's just going to take off any fluff that might be there. Watch your fingers. And then pop that in a sanding block of some sort. And then I just want to go over these edges here. Where are we, Tom? Probably, yeah. The blue cam. So just denibbing. And then these edges, these are weathered far more than the rest of it. So just going to blend them in by giving it a little bit of a sand back. I mean, in time, the rest of this will go the same color, and eventually they'll all just silver up. Personally, I quite like that. The building that we're in, it's all large construction, and eventually they're just, with all the sun and the weather, they all end up silver, proper age to them. Like all of us, Tom, we all silver eventually, don't we?
It's getting worse.
There we are.
Callum mentioned that you used the C word already, and it's only February.
I didn't think anybody would notice.
I was going to say, I really hope you said Christmas and you haven't cancelled us straight away.
Right, there we are. Let's take the faceplate off. In fact, I won't bother taking the faceplate. You don't need to see me take the faceplate off. Let's just stand that one up there. Get rid of that. Ignore the extra height because of the faceplate. There, a couple of acorns for the top of our entrance sign. I'm exhausted, Tom. That was probably, in terms of speed, there is when it comes to these sorts of things, I'm not really looking at speed. This is a quite a physical job, a physical challenge to turn. And when you're trying to turn them quickly, even more so. But those are the. Let me turn that around. So we just ignore those flat features there. Flat features, 10-pound features. Let's put that there. It'll sit there. There, a couple of acorns. Any questions, Tom? Before we carry on, and I put these on the floor.
Not necessarily questions, but Pete said, "Good time to remind all West Country viewers at Colwin is at Yandles on the 28th at 4 p.m. to 6 p.m." So that's
well done. Yeah, thank you, Pete. Yeah, so that's going to be a good day. I'm hoping, or not hoping, we're going to be doing natural edges. So if you saw Pete's last one, it was I think it was a Malibur, Pete. I'm not quite sure. I know it was an Australian field Goldfield burr, but it looked awesome. I saw it yesterday. But I'll be doing a natural edge, a thin natural edge from either something like yew, or it'll be laburnum or boxwood, one of those. So that'll be from 4 till 6 on the 28th. Thank you. If you're in the North Devon area tomorrow, North Devon Woodturners, I'll be up there doing a session up there. So a few things up there. Again, I'll probably try and throw in a natural edge. We'll do some skew work and a few other bits and bobs. So that'll be tomorrow. That's from 6:30 tomorrow at North Devon Woodturning Club. So if you're in the area and you're part of that club. Yes, Tom.
And Ward is so good at doing this. He always gets everybody to hit the like button. But if you all could hit the like button, it's good for us, isn't it? Really,
it is really well. It's justification, isn't it?
Just, well, it is.
Yeah, and if there's something you don't like, tell us. Please tell us. And ask the questions. So this is driven by you guys. We need the questions to, to keep going. Really, that's why we do it. And apart from really enjoying it as well. But yes, that's those. Now, what's the outcome of the poll? I was
just going to say the poll. 68%. Says flip, so we can end the poll.
Yeah, so we're going to go for a live edge. I can't even remember what this timber is. By the time you come back to me in a fortnight's time, I would have remembered what this bit of burr is. But we're going to be turning this one into what is hopefully going to be a really pretty live edge. So it'll be rough turned, and then the idea is we're going to give that a few months, and then another session later on in the year we'll turn it to a finished piece. Okay, so can I put this down?
Yeah. And Pete just also he'll be there, and does he need to bring a chuck key?
I'm gonna. I'll tell you what. Somebody could take a spare one just in case, but I am absolutely confident that this time I'm going to remember a chuck key. I'm notorious for forgetting chuck keys in demos. There we are. Thank you so much, everybody, for putting up with me wittering on for an hour and the fun that we're having here. I hope you enjoyed that. It's a bit of a niche session today, unless you're in a need for making a couple of big finials. I hope what we've got from it more, though, is the understanding of working big pieces, the safety behind working big pieces, some of the pitfalls. So speed is everything, really, to start with, keeping your gouges sharp. And just to note that I personally not preferring to go with a rough and gouge, start with the smaller gouges like a bowl gouge. It just shows that the right tool for the job doesn't have to be the one that's designed to do that job. So a rough and gouge designed for roughing down, but big pieces like this, it gets a little bit sketchy. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. As Ward said, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notifications button so you can see when we're going live again. We are intending to do a lot more, or a few more recordings as well, just to fill in that 2-week gap between our lives, and keep the suggestions coming. So thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for your participation in the poll as well. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.